Hi everyone, today we're tackling something that's a real pain point for financial institutions. That's validating regulatory filings. If you've ever had to submit quarterly returns to a regulatory body, you'll know how critical it is to get your data right before you hit submit. The good news, with North52 Business Rules Engine, we can automate all of that validation directly inside Dynamics 365 or Dataverse. Let me show you how it works. So, here's our scenario. We're working with the Office of the Superintendent of Financial Institutions, A2 non-mortgage loans return. This is a quarterly filing that every deposit-taking institution in Canada needs to submit. It captures non-mortgage loan data broken down by sector. We're talking loans to financial institutions, governments, individuals, businesses, plus credit losses, allowances, and counterparty exposures. Now, OSFI publishes a validation rules spreadsheet, and it's extensive. We're looking at over 190 rules that your data needs to pass. For this demo, we're going to focus on a subset of the rules, but the approach we're building scales to handle all of them. Let's look at what these rules actually check. Take Rule IR001, for example. It says, subtotal of financial institutions' foreign currency resident loan balances should add down. In plain English, the subtotal in field 8807 needs to equal the sum of fields 8800 through 8806, give or take a threshold of 10 units for rounding. These are the kinds of add-down validations that catch data entry errors before they become compliance issues. Alright, let's walk through how a North52 decision solution is structured. First, we create custom table in Dataverse to store all the A2 non-mortgage loans return data. This is where users will enter or import their filing information. Then we set up a North52 formula on that table which triggers when a user flips a validate data field to yes. The formula itself is organized into 3 sheets. Think of them like tabs in Excel. Sheet 1 handles the initial check and makes sure we only run validation when explicitly requested. If the validate data field is set to no, we exit immediately. There's no point running 190 rules if the user hasn't asked for validation, right? This keeps things efficient and prevents accidental validation runs. Sheet 2 is where all the validation magic happens. Every rule gets evaluated here. Each row represents one of our OSFI validation rules. We've got 3 key columns working together. Column B defines the validation condition. Column C sets a valid variable to false if the condition is breached. Column D is the validation message. And column E builds up our validation messages using the set var concat inline calculation. Let me show you how we implement the OSFI equal within threshold function. North52 doesn't have that exact function built in, but we can easily recreate it using the absolute function. The formula is ABS bracket first value minus second value bracket less than or equal to our threshold. If this returns false, meaning the difference exceeds our threshold, we flag it and add the error message to our running list. The beauty of set var concat is that if multiple rules fail, all the messages get combined into one comprehensive output. Finally, the update record sheet brings it all together. We check our valid variable. If it's false, we update the validation messages field with all the errors we collected and set the status reason to not valid. If everything passed, the validation messages field shows a nice green check mark with data validated, and the status reason becomes valid. Simple, clear feedback for your compliance team. Alright, let's see this in action. Here's a non-mortgage loans report record with some sample data. I've intentionally introduced a few discrepancies so we can see the validation catch them. Now I'll flip the validate data field to yes. And there we go. The validation formula has run, and look at the validation messages field. We can see exactly which rules failed, telling us what needs to be fixed. The status reason has been set to not valid, so that anyone looking at this record knows immediately that it's not ready for submission. So there you have it. With North52's decision table approach, we've taken what could be a tedious, error-prone, manual process and turned it into an automated one-click validation. Now, this example used a Dataverse record as the data source, but North52 can also validate XML, JSON, and other formats. So whatever your regulatory data looks like, there's a way to make this work. You can also output these validation results to model-driven apps like we showed today, or through an API response, or even on Power Pages websites for external stakeholders. If you've got questions about implementing something like this for your regulatory requirements, reach out to our support team. We're always happy to help. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.